What's good, you guys, and welcome on another episode. How are you doing? I hope you guys are well. And if you are joining for the very first time, thank you so much for being here today. In this video, we are going to talk about this video that this South African posted because it seems like something that has happened before, and this is another people complaining about the same thing in another country. This lady talked about the illegal white immigrant, how they are taking over, how their presence is literally affecting their economy, and nothing is currently being done about it. I am going to roll the clip because I think a few months ago we talked about almost the same thing in Hawaii. The locals can't even afford to stay in their own place because a lot of these illegal people have trooped in. I am going to roll the clip and let's get right into it.
I don't know if you guys came across this video of this African lady, and she was like speaking about being in a room filled with illegal white immigrants in South Africa. And I think she was saying in Cape Town specifically. But that becomes scarier and scarier to me every single day. And like, unlike with other African immigrants coming into South Africa, it's like these people have the means to afford a decent life and aren't necessarily running away from anything, but their presence pushes us out of our own country. Like, it's way scarier than this false idea of African nationals stealing jobs. These people are literally pushing us out of our own country. We can't afford to live in these spaces anymore. And that's because like a huge part of real estate in the Western Cape is owned by white foreigners. But it becomes harder and harder for an average South African to afford living in Cape Town. The cost of living here is insane only because of the rent. Like, everything else is pretty decent, like Ubers, food, whatever. But the rent in Cape Town is insane. And I can't even like wrap my head around the fact that anyone can like afford to live here comfortably without stress. African nationals stealing jobs.
That is because, apart from the fact that it's systemic, we Africans are refusing to tell ourselves the truth. Some Africans are busy thinking the other African is the enemy, instead of dealing with the issue from the root. All these oppressive systems need is a signature, somebody getting into power and resetting everything. Those lands could be given to the right people. Yeah, they bought them, but they were inherited by, you know what I mean. So the solution to our problem as Africans, so that we don't end up as sea lions in aquariums, which is what is already happening to us. Some of us in the diaspora outside of the continent, living in other countries where we're not welcome, and then people from other countries, foreigners, are going to our countries and occupying them. We're leaving our own countries and moving to neighboring countries because foreigners, non-Africans, are in our African continent buying up lands and spaces and everything. It's a systemic thing, but then we as African individuals should behave better. The time has come for us to take over power. These things are not supposed to be negotiated. Somebody should actually step in and reset the systems. Niger just did it recently. Took over, drove away the foreigners, took over the system. That's what Africa needs, every single African nation. Niger did not drive away other Africans. Niger drove away the colonialists. Now, here's how the system works. The playing ground is not level. They've created a false system of economics where we're called third world, they're called first world. So our currencies have lower value than their currencies, so they can easily come to our lands and comfortably afford to own lands, properties, easily because they have the advantage. So it's time for us as Africans to take over our leadership, change the system, draft certain laws that some foreigners cannot own lands. Draft those laws so that foreigners can be perpetual tenants. If you're from a developed world, as long as you are in a developing world, in order to let a level playing ground exist for equity, those people cannot own properties. That's the best way forward, in my opinion. That's the best way forward.
What do you guys think about this lady's observation and what she has to say about their current economy, especially when it comes to rent? I really feel like it's something to be scared about. It's very scary because if you as the local cannot even afford to live in your own place, but you see foreigners living well, it can be so scary because we're going to wake up one day and the whole place is just filled with foreigners. I saw a comment of a lady even referencing the fact that some of them are even collecting government pension funds. These are the things that illegal white immigrants are literally enjoying in South Africa, what is supposed to be for the local people, and it's going to get to a point where the locals will definitely be kicked out. Another comment I saw was talking about how Mauritius was so good, or they got the plan right, because there are certain places that can only be owned by the locals, just so that their own people can still live. That's still a government that is still putting into consideration the life of their own people and not just selling everything out to these foreigners. Because I know it was a conversation we have about the Hawaiians a few months ago as well, where they were complaining about the same thing, that these people coming in can afford all these things, but the local ones can't even afford their rent. They don't even have houses. They can't even afford to get by their day just because of hiking prices, because these foreigners are taking over everything. Let me hear what you guys think about this lady's concern. I feel like it's actually a good conversation. We shouldn't wait till when they finally take over to talk about it. So let me know what you guys think about what she said. Thank you all so much for joining, and make sure you drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let's continue this conversation there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, and I love you guys.